Hey my people, how you doing? I'm having a fantastic damn Thursday. Welcome back to the channel. And today we'll be breaking down Pep Guardiola's greatest team of all time. That's right, the Barcelona team of the back end of the 2000s and the beginning of the 2010s. Honestly, probably one of the best teams of all time, if not the best team of all time. The way they moved, the way they played, the complete and utter domination of La Liga and Europe, and oh my days. A sight to behold. So we are going to be breaking down ways that you can help replicate and recreate that in the game FC24. Obviously, if you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. That would be fantastic. So yeah, let's hop on straight into it. So for the formation going forward, the only change I have made to the 4-3-3 holding is I've dropped the striker into that centre forward role. So it's one goalkeeper, two centre backs, two full backs, one DM, two central midfielders, two wingers, and then of course one centre forward. So for the tactics for this Barcelona side under Pep Guardiola, the tactical vision I've gone with is tiki-taka. It makes the most sense. They were so fluid, so amazing with the ability to pass and move, play in those little tight spaces, get out of those little tight spaces if the opposition were pressing them very high up the field. The ability for them just to play through the opposition was flawless at times, and honestly something that has probably never been replicated since. Obviously the Man City side of the current does a very good job at it, and even then there are still flaws to it. I mean, I generally don't think we'll ever see another side play such fluid football ever again. So tactical vision set to tiki-taka, it makes the most sense. The defensive style is press after loss of possession. I was playing around with going with the constant pressure because that's a more realistic approach. The minute Barcelona lost the ball, they were absolutely on the opposition more times than not, and it made sure that the opposition were under pressure tenfold the minute they gained the ball. So constant pressure does do a very realistic job, but in saying that, in terms of the gameplay, it is affected greatly because you are looking to try and exert as much energy and stamina on the opposition to try and win that ball back. So essentially, pressing after loss of possession does do a better job, in my opinion. But of course, you can go with constant pressure if need be. As for the team width, I've set to 30, so a very compact system at the back. The opposition very rarely had the opportunity to play through Barcelona. So you want to try and create that compact structure, making sure that they're very defensively inept. I mean, you had the likes of Carlos Puyol and PK at the back, making sure that nothing got past them. And if they did get past them, well, you had the likes of Victor Valdez. So either way, it's a very compact, super strong structure at the back, making sure that Barcelona's defense was one of the best of its era, clearly. So for the depth for this Barcelona side, I've gone with a 65 depth. Now, it is on the higher end of a mid-block, and you can definitely have that slightly higher. Of course, it does change your tactical vision to custom, which is a bit weird. But if you are playing a team that is going to have that low block approach, definitely go with a much higher line, try and power those men forward, try and get as many men in the opposition's half as can be, especially if you are looking to try and rotate the ball, maintain possession, pin the opposition in their own half times, which is exactly what Barcelona look to do. So I would say start off the game with a 65 depth. It is a bit more of a cautious approach, and then as you're progressing throughout the course of it, make sure that you do maybe increase that depth ever so slightly, maybe to around an 80. I find that is very successful. So yeah, I would say around 65 to 80 is more or less the optimum depth that you would like for this Barcelona side. As for the build-up play, I've gone with slow build-up, and as for the chance creation, I've gone with the balanced approach. Now, of course, this does go hand in hand with the tiki-taka approach, and you do want to have a bit more of a dynamic approach when getting your forwards involved in the build-up play going forward. So sometimes having them make those runs in behind into that open space, other times looking to have them just come a bit shorter, be a bit more balanced, have a bit more possession-based systems. Those little passing triangles in and around the opposition's half, you do want that to still be a factor with the way you build up the play. And of course, when you do have the slow build-up sets on, of course, the defenders and mainly your centre-backs do look to try and show for the ball when building up your play from the back. So from the goalkeeper restarts and whatnot, those defenders will look to try and show for the ball. And you will progressively move the ball slightly higher up the field with every passing move that you do create. Moving on to the width of the team, I've gone with 50, which is a very balanced approach. They weren't well known, or they have to play down the wing every time. It was central of the park movements in and around. If the ball found its way out to the wing, progress it forward, whip in a cutback. I mean, they weren't really well known for their crosses, but the cutbacks, the movement in the box, getting it, you know, in and around there was crucial. And basically, this 50 width does help narrow those wingers ever so slightly, bring them a bit closer into the central areas if need be. And you will see with the instructions, they will be very much involved with the builder play going forward. So, as for the players in the box, however, to try and create a very fluid movement of anybody can be that center forward role or anybody can play on the wing, I've gone with the players in the box to be set to 7, and that more or less allows 4 players in and around the attacking third, making sure that they are trying to latch onto those cutback opportunities or those little passing movements in and around the opposition's box to try and work the ball into that final third and the attacking area. As for corners and free kicks, as for always, I've set it to 4. So we'll start off with the instructions of the goalkeeper, Victor Valdez / Ter Stegen in this situation, but very much a sweeper keeper before the term sweeper keeper became, you know, a fashionable thing to say. But nonetheless, come for crosses and be that sweeper keeper, helping build out from the back, making sure that he was quick off of his line to try and reclaim that ball and circulate it back into possession. So that's more or less what you are going to be expecting from Ter Stegen in this Barcelona Guardiola system, I should say. So sweeper keeper and come for crosses, of course, very good at claiming those aerial balls. As for Christensen and Koundé, who will have the likes of Puyol and Piqué's role, they are set to their base set of instructions. You don't really need to do too much with it. The most important thing for them is to make sure that structurally at the back they are sound, they can show for the ball, they can progress the ball slightly high up the field if need be, in possession, out of possession, they need to be very focused. So you don't really want to do too much with them. As for the likes of Balde, who does take up Abidal's role as the left back of the team, I've set him to having a balanced approach for his attacking run. So yes, he would get forward, but more times than not, looking to just hold back a bit on that left-hand side, hold down the fort on that left-hand flank. And as well as invert, you want him to sometimes just take up a central or a centre-back role if need be, if he's not making those attacking runs forward, but at the same time, linking up with the midfield quite effectively. And then as for his defensive position, you want him to be a bit more imposing because he's not getting forward nearly as much. So you want him to step up and be a bit more aggressive towards the opposition. As for Cancelo, who will be taking up the Dani Alves role, one of the best, if not the best, right backs in football history. Attacking runs set to join the attack, of course, as well as his run type. You want him overlapping, creating a lot of the width down the right-hand flank for this Barcelona side. And then as for his defensive position, I've gone with stick to position. And then moving on into our midfield, the Busquets role, of course, taken up by Frenkie de Jong in this situation. He is set to cut passing lanes and stay back while attacking, often looking to show for the ball when building up from the goalkeeper restarts or building out from the back, of course, showing for the ball, collecting it, and then circulating it back into the midfield, or maybe a progressive pass further forward. Normal interceptions are set to be on form. You don't really want him being too aggressive, and I don't think Busquets was ever well known for his aggressive nature. He was always positionally in the perfect place at the right time, always read the game like incredibly. One of the best DMs of modern football, if not of football in general. So you don't really want him being too aggressive with that. But more importantly, you want him to cover that back line as well as be the deep lying playmaker. Like I did mention, he is going to show for the ball a bit more, collect it off of either the goalkeeper or the two centre-backs, and then progress it slightly high up the field. And then, of course, with the deep lying playmaker as well, you do want him to have this fluid-esque movement where he can, you know, be a bit more involved, slightly high up the field if need be. I know he does say stay back while attacking, but the pass and move game, of course, you'll obviously do that with L1 and X, or L1 or left bumper and A. I don't know what the Xbox controllers are, but point being is you don't just want him consistently sitting. If need be, you want him to be a bit more involved in the build-up play in the center of the park, and that's more or less how you can get it done. As for the likes of Gavi, who does have the Iniesta role, he is set to get forward. Now, Iniesta, well known for getting forward, well known for taking up those wider channels if need be. I mean, I remember Guardiola playing Iniesta as a left winger at times in certain games. If they needed a bit more control of the game, Iniesta would take up that left wing position. So you kind of still want to have that ability for him to progress the ball forward and almost be the attacking midfielder of the three. So getting forward for his attacking support does more or less replicate that. Getting into the box as well, making those deeper runs into the attacking third, providing those cutback opportunities for the striker or the wingers or the attacking line if need be as well. Normal interceptions are set to be on for him, as well as cover the wing and free roam. You want him popping up in little half spaces in and around the opposition's box or their half, making sure that he can get onto the ball and more or less draw other players and the opposition players out of position. As for Pedri, he has got the Xavi role going forward, a balanced attacking support. So bit more of the box to box. He won't always look to get into the box, as you can see here for his support on crosses. Stay on the edge, he's going to look to try and facilitate a lot more than anything else. But he can also look to drop a bit deeper and help out the likes of Busquets, or in this case, Frankie de Jong, with the builder play going forward. His interceptions, I've set it to normal because he doesn't really have that aggressive nature to him, as well as the defensive position is set to cover wing, as well as positioning freedom is set to free roam. Now, again, you want both Xavi and Iniesta having this very free approach where they can just operate in the spaces that the opposition provides for them. Either they have the ability to pull opposition players out of position, opening up a lot more space for the likes of Messi or Villa or potentially Pedro. So you want that ability for your central midfielders to be able to do that. Moving out to the right wing position, the Pedro role, you could say, taken up by Rafinha. He is said to have a basic defensive support, so sometimes looking to help out the likes of Alves, as well as starting the attacking positions a little bit deeper. The chance creation, I've gone with free roam. So again, having this very fluid type motion, you'll see with the left wing as well, a very fluid type motion where they're not exactly playing out on the right-hand side. If they need to, they can come inside and operate with that midfield, having those little triangles in and around the opposition's half. And like I say, pull players out of position, creating other space for your teammates going forward. Support on crosses is set to come short, so exactly not hugging the touchline and creating the width down that right flank. He will look to come inside a bit more and then can play quite effectively. As for the interceptions, I've gone with aggressive, and as for support on crosses, I've gone with it to get into the box. You want your wingers and your forward line to be able to make those deeper runs into the attacking third, either providing cutback and other opportunities for their teammates, or potentially getting shots off for themselves. So as for the David Villa role taken up by Torres in this situation, he is said to have a basic defensive support, free roam, as well as come short. Of course, very similar to what Rafinha will do, linking up quite effectively with Iniesta on this left-hand side, also allowing them to interchange positions if need be, taking up a bit more of a central role as well if the likes of Messi does drop out and drop to that left-hand flank, or potentially even drops into the midfield. It does open up a bit more space for the likes of David Villa to operate in. His interceptions are set to aggressive, as well as his support on crosses is set to get into the box. And then we've got the João Felix role, the centre-forward role, that is essentially the Messi role. Obviously, when he was played more centrally, he scored a lot more goals. Don't get me wrong, he really did. He was fantastic with it. And his support runs is set to balance, so sometimes taking up a bit more of the wider channels if need be, drifting to those wide areas to get onto the ball a bit more, interchanging passes with the wingers, or even allowing the wingers to drift inside and take up that striker role. Very much what David Villa did do in certain moments. But again, does have a bit more of a central presence if need be. His attacking runs is set to false nine, and Messi basically revitalized this position going forward by, you know, him scoring so many goals, and he kind of brought it back into popularity at that time. I mean, we saw a few seasons ago, Man City did adopt the false nine system as well. I mean, Liverpool, that with Firmino as well in that system. So it has proven over the last few years that it's still a very effective system. But you do want Messi being able to drop off the back line, drop into the little pockets of space in and around the opposition's half, potentially pulling players out of position, as well as linking up quite effectively with the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, in those more central areas, or having the ability to do it in the little wider channels that are provided with the space created with this team. His interceptions is set to normal, as well as his defensive support is set to come back on defense. Now, this does help with him having the ability to drop into those pockets of space and just drop off the back line, potentially pulling out certain players. So yes, my people, that is my version of Pep Guardiola's fantastic Barcelona side of the late 2000s/early 2010s. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you are new, that would be fan-damn-tastic. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Throwback Thursday. Let me know down below who you would like to see me do next, obviously for next week Thursday. But until the next time, I hope you guys have a damn great day. I'm out.